Hey everyone, welcome. My name is Karlie. I am a knitter and yarn dyer coming to you from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Today I thought we could sit down together and talk about some spring and summer items that I've been thinking about lately and would really like to have on my needles. So before we get started, let's just talk briefly about what I'm wearing. This is the Lily Top by Yumiko Alexander. I knit this in Juniper Moon Farm Zoe in the colorway Sage. This is a pretty modified version. I did do a sleeveless version so I can wear it as a tank in the summer and as a vest in cooler seasons. I also changed the weight of yarn that I use, so it calls for a worsted, and I used DK and also went down in needle size just to get a smaller fit, a more form-fitting fit. And this is also linked down below along with everything else that I talk about today, so you can always check out all the details on my project pages on Ravelry too. So like I said, I've been thinking about what I want to get on my needles for the spring and summer, which is right around the corner. Well, it's officially spring now. It doesn't feel like it from where I am, but I'm dreaming about spring. I'm dreaming about warmer days, and I have a few patterns that I wanted to talk about. I don't know if these will actually get made, but they're currently inspiring me and getting me excited about the summer knitting season, so I thought we could sit down and talk about it. I also pulled out some yarns from my stash that I think could be suitable for these patterns, and I would like your opinion on some of the combinations that I'm thinking of here. So I also am currently working on a spring summer pattern, and this is the Rib Lace Raglan by James and Watts, and I am using Elspeth Lavold Silky Wool in the color Fresh Snow. This was gifted to me from Knitting Fever, and you'll actually see a lot of yarn that was gifted to me from Knitting Fever in this episode. The last year, 2024, they were extremely generous and gifted me a lot of yarn. So I'm excited to dive into some of those this year and play with all the beautiful colors that they sent me last year. So anyways, this is the Rib Lace Raglan by James and Watts. It is a top-down raglan, and it's just got a really simple lace design that is easily to memorize, like pretty early on, I would say. And this is the 2.0 version, so the first version didn't have any shaping, but as you can see now that I have it joined in the round, you can see that the back is higher than the front, which is always nice to have a bit of shaping there. I have about 4 or so more inches to go on the body, I think is what I would like before I bind off, and then I also want to do full length sleeves for these. So I still got quite a bit of knitting to do, but it's a really enjoyable piece to work on, and I'm also just so excited to have this. I think this is a piece that I'll also be able to wear all year round, just because it will be long sleeve, and if I layer, like I could layer this long sleeve white shirt under it in the winter time and I'd be totally fine, and then in the summertime I can just have a tank under it and also be fine. This is a blend of silk and wool, so it is a nice like breathable yarn, and it feels really lightweight when I wear it, so I do like to have this as a summer yarn. But I'm really excited about this one. Like I said, I'm just working away on it. It's been really enjoyable. It's one of those meditative knits for me. It's nice because it's easy lace, so it is pretty mindless for me, but it's not as mindless as stockinette, so I don't feel as bored with it working on endless amount of the body, or when it comes time to do the sleeve. I know I won't get as bored with it just because there is that little bit of lace, which is pretty fun, and my hands, like, it feels so natural to my hands to do this lace pattern, but it's just a little bit more exciting for me than the typical stockinette. So I do really recommend this pattern if you're looking for a spring summer knit to get on your needles. It's really transitional, and you can always do a short sleeve as well, but I'm really excited to have a long sleeve version. I'm just going to knit the sleeves straight, so hopefully I get somewhat of a bell effect, and I think that'll just look really good with other items that I have in my wardrobe. So that is the first item that I'm working on to get ready for spring and summer, and then I also have a couple of other ideas floating around. So the first one being the Lacey loop tee, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen before. As soon as Other Loops was advertising this new design, I just knew I had to knit it. I'm sure a lot of you felt the same way. It's a really gorgeous, oversized I think it's drop shoulder tee, but there's just lots of texture on it, and it does call for fingering weight yarn. It said on the Ravelry page it uses about 1,100 yards for the size that I would be knitting. So I have a few options here that I think we should talk about. All these ones that I'm showing have been gifted from Knitting Fever, and the first one here is Kathmandu Fingering by Queensland Collection. What is this color? It's color 29. It's a really beautiful, like, raspberry, plummy, pinky purplish color. Not one that I typically wear, but I think it's really pretty. And there's also, it seems like a little bit tweedy. There are just little flecks of like white and black in there too. So I have 2 balls of these. So that would give me, where am I? 425. So 850 yards, which is obviously less than the 1,100 yards that is stated. But I think I would be okay, because I don't know if I'd maybe I wouldn't make the body as long. I'd maybe do it a little bit more cropped. I could also do the sleeves a little bit shorter too. So I think I would be okay. So there is this option, this berry red color. There's also this option, Queensland Collection Adelaide, which is 436 yards. I also have 2 balls of this, so 880-ish almost. And it's this goldy color. And this is a blend of wool and silk and polyamide, and then this one is wool, silk, and cashmere. So I've got these 2 options. I don't know what to do with these. I also have this in like a creamy white color, which could be really pretty in this lacy loop tee. That's kind of what I am envisioning it in, is more of a neutral color, I think. But I also want to have fun with color because I already have that white rib lace raglan on my needles. So I'm not sure. What do you guys think? A cream color, a gold, or this berry color? Both good options, I think. This one I do kind of see this more as a fall autumnal color, but I think it also works well for summer too. I think it just depends on the type of pattern that I choose for it. It can lean more summer or lean more wintry, but I think it'd be fine for summer too. I'm also not one that's really strict with like what colors I wear in what season. I don't really care about that, so I shouldn't really be bothered. So let me know what you guys think about that. I think either option would be really beautiful. I just also want to be aware of which one I would wear the most of. So this one, I'm trying to think. This does feel more lightweight than this one. It feels more airy, I guess you could say, and more drapey than this one would be. And I do think a drapier fit would look nice, but I am leaning towards this color. I'm kind of feeling called towards it. So, and I don't know, maybe these flecks wouldn't look good in that textured design, but I think it could also be interesting. So yes, I would love your thoughts on that one. Another one I'm thinking about is the Kharkiv Summer Top by Victoria Chaplina. And this one is DK weight yarn and calls for 400 yards. I have this has been in my stash for a really long time. And this might be heavier than DK, but this is the Wool in the Gang Shiny Happy Cotton in the color Eucalyptus Green. It is how many grams? Oh, this is 100 grams and 155 yards. So I was thinking that could be a good option for this top because I don't have a lot of DK in my stash, if any. I do have a little bit here, but I have other plans for it. So I don't know, this could possibly work. It might be a little bit of a larger gauge, although I do knit pretty tight, so I might be okay. The only concern about this is 100% cotton, and with this top, I do worry that I would maybe need a little bit of elasticity in it, just so it doesn't stretch out and become like this thing just hanging on my body. I don't want that. So maybe this isn't the best idea for that, but it might work. I don't know. I guess I would just have to. I also don't want the straps to stretch out too much, but I could always give it a try, and I have 3 of these, so I would have enough yarn for it, and I think that this color would be really beautiful and show off that texture really well. It's a nice light color, so the texture would really shine through. I also do love this color. And it would be nice to get out of my stash because, like I said, I've had it for maybe like 3 or 4 years at this point. I've used it before, but I just have leftovers, so yes, that is an option, and the yardage works out for it. So that's the only thing I really have in mind for that summer top in particular, because I don't have a lot of DK in my stash at all. So, and speaking of this designer, I actually mentioned her in my last podcast episode, but she recently came out with this Seesaw sweater. Yes, the Seesaw sweater. And I was talking about it and how I was trying to make it work with that fresh snow that I'm using with the rib lace raglan. I just couldn't get gauge with it, but I also have this drop spell in my stash. I only have 3 of these. I thought I had maybe like 4 or 5, so that does pose a problem. I don't think I would have enough, but my thoughts were that I would turn this sweater into a top, into a t-shirt, and for the sleeves I would just go straight into the lace part for the sleeves and just do a t-shirt. I think that would look really cute, and it does call for a DK weight yarn, and so I do have this drop spell, which I think would be really nice for it. And I've got 3 of these, so it's 131 yards per 50 gram ball. I can't do math that well. So 390-ish maybe yards. So I don't know if I'd get enough to finish a whole tee. Worst case, I could always order a ball or 2 after that, and then I could get this fully out of my stash, which would also be great. And this is a mixture of cotton, linen, and viscose, so it'd be a really great summer top. I actually have knit a top out of it. It was my wrap top, and it's really nice to wear in the summertime. So I think that this would be really cute in that seesaw sweater, but a tee version. And I think I am going to go for it, and I am just going to be prepared that I have to maybe buy an extra ball or 2 of this yarn to finish it off. But Victoria Chaplina, she has a lot of really cute designs. If you haven't heard of her before, I would definitely go check her out. The next item that I'm thinking about is the Plain Yoke Tee 22 Solo by Lay Knit, and I have actually knit this before. I'll put a picture up on the screen. I kind of did a spring sweater version of this last year, and I knit this in Noro yarn. I forget the what do you call it? The base of the Noro and the color, but the project's linked down below and all that information is there. And that was really fun. I love this pattern. It's super simple and straightforward. It's top-down circular yoke, all stockinette, and really simple finishings. I just don't ever wear that sweater. I always get compliments on it, and everyone really loves the color, and I do too, but I just don't love wearing that color. So I'm going to try and wear it a bit more and give it another chance. But I do want to do a tee version of this. I already have this pattern in my library, which is great. I'm trying to utilize more of the patterns that I already have. So I really wanted to do a summer version of this top and have it a bit more suitable for some warmer weather. So what I was thinking is that I have this Queensland collection. I bought this maybe 2 years ago. It's the Dungarees paint spun from recycled jeans, and it's the color Kangaroo. It's 95% cotton and 5% other fibers. And I've got 2 balls of these. I actually was working on a vest, and I wasn't loving it, so I ripped it back the other night, and I really want to use the rest of this yarn. So I've got 2 of these. So this is the yarn. It's a really beautiful, subtle neutral with little bits of color spun into there. You might not be able to see it, but there's blue, orange, green, brown, yellows all spun into here. And I love working with yarn like this because it gives it a little bit of excitement, but it can still fall under a neutral, but not completely bore me when I'm working on it. And so I love to try and find neutrals that have little subtle specks of color throughout. And I think I can really picture this in that Plain Yoke Solo Tee. I think is one that I would really get a lot of wear out of too. Now this is, I think, more of a sport weight yarn, and the plain yoke 22 solo is a DK weight gauge, but I think I'd be fine knitting this in the sport way. I also saw a lot of people's projects on Ravelry, and they used fingering weight, and it looked really good too. So I think I am going to give this a go, and we'll see how it goes. I think I'd have more than enough yarn. If I don't, I also have a tank knit in this, and it is the Galax tank by Andrea Gone Knits. I tested this for her maybe 2 years ago, and I love this pattern. I love this design. Nothing against the pattern or design at all. It's just that I knit it a little bit too tight, I think, and I did the I-cord around the armholes really tight, so it's quite uncomfortable for me. And so I am thinking of ripping that one out and frogging it completely. And I also don't think that this was the right yarn for that project, just because the beautiful lace and the baubles in that design really doesn't shine through. I feel like this little slight specks of color kind of distracts you from that beautiful center lace panel. So I would knit that design again. I would just want a more solid colored yarn to just really let that design shine through. So anyways, if I don't have enough yarn, I can always rip that out, and I'm probably going to rip that out sometime in the future anyways and repurpose that yarn for something else. So yes, I would love to have a tee, that plain yoke tee in this. I also have some Elspeth Levold's Hempathy from Knitting Fever, and I really love this yarn. I've worked with it before. It's a really nice summer drapey yarn. So I've got limestone here, and I also have seafoam. These aren't typical colors that I would go for, maybe more of the yellow versus the blue, but I think it would be fun to just like try something new. I'm kind of leaning towards the yellow, and a plain yellow tee would be really cute too, I think. I've got a lot of these balls, maybe like 10 or so, so I would definitely have enough. But, you know, this could also look really cute in the Lacey loop tee that I showed earlier by Other Loops. The next one, this one is so beautiful, and I don't know if I'd actually be able to make this, but this is the Woollahra tee by Marzena Kolaczek, and this is linked down below. If I butchered the pronunciation, I'm sorry, but this is fingering weight yarn. It's such a beautiful design. I'm just really drawn to it, and it uses 660-ish yards for my size that I would knit. So what was my plan for this? I can't remember what yarn I wanted to use for this one. Maybe it was just more of, I think, well, all the fingering weight yarn that I have. Okay, I think I could use this. Like this Elspeth Levold Hempathy. I also have this in a dark brown color. I also have this clay color, which is beautiful, but I have other plans for the clay color. But this would give it a lot of drapiness, which is really beautiful for a design like this, I think. And I actually can envision it in this blue color, which is the seafoam. And although this is closer to a DK weight, I think I could make it work for fingering. It's pretty thin. And then I also have like the cream version of this that I could use, or something like this, depending on what I decide to do for the Lacey loop tee. Whatever I don't choose, I could use one of these for the Woollahra. That's hard for me to say. The Woollahra tee. She also, Marlena Kolaczek, she has a lot of beautiful designs that I just love to look at. I love to go on her Ravelry page. So if you haven't heard of her or seen her work before, definitely check her out as well, because she just has a lot of beautiful, unique pieces there. Lastly, we have the Nelly Top by Spectacle Strick. And I'm actually really excited about this one because it's a super simple garter stitch, worked in panels, I believe, and then seamed up. And it uses a sport weight yarn, about 540 yards for the size that I would be knitting. And I am really picturing this top in this clay color. I think it would be so beautiful. This, again, is Elspeth Levold's Hempathy in the color clay. I could definitely get sport weight gauge with this yarn. I think this would just look really, really beautiful. But, you know, I was also thinking that I could make another what do you call this, lily top in this yarn, and I'm really tempted to do that too. So it's so hard. I'm debating between these two patterns for this yarn, but I think this color I've had for a while now, and I'm just obsessed with it. I think it's one of the most beautiful colors, and I've just been taking my time figuring out what I want to make with it, because it's just a special color to me, and I think it's gorgeous. So yes, either the Nelly top light or another lily top. Let me know what you think would look good in this yarn. Like I said, I also have a dark brown in this yarn, so if I choose to say do like the Nelly top or the lily top with this yarn, I could do the dark brown in the Nelly top, which I also think would be really beautiful. So those are my thoughts right now. Those are kind of the ideas going around in my head. I'm really wanting to use all of this beautiful yarn that I already have, and I haven't purchased yarn in a really long time, and it feels really good to be working through my stash and finally getting a chance to work through a lot of the beautiful yarn that Knitting Fever has sent me last year, and then also just dive into some of the yarn that I've had sitting for a couple of years or so, like this one. So I'm excited about that. Like I said, I don't know how written in stone these ideas are, but I definitely could see myself at least knitting a couple of them up this spring and summer season. And like I said, a lot of them I am kind of leaning towards having a piece that I could also wear in the cooler months. Like this top, it's really transitional. I can wear it in any season. And then thinking of other pieces that I can layer in the wintertime with cardigans and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really excited. Hopefully I can get started on one or two of these soon. I'd love to know if you have any spring or summer knitting plans on the go already, or what you're thinking about and what patterns are catching your eye. I'd also love to know your opinions on some of the pattern and yarn combinations that I talked about today and what you think about them. All right, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you got some inspiration to start knitting for the season ahead, and we will see you all next time. All right, bye.